Midem and MidemNet are about to conclude.
Right.
So a quick glance at the conference program before the start of the conferences shouted out monetization. Basically, that's the main problem of the industry, how to monetize the music. And now the labels have opened up to digital and that the technology is catching up with what can be done on the cloud front. The last piece of the puzzle is convincing consumers that these services are actually worth paying for. Mm-hmm. So what can be done, do you think, to do that?
I think the best implementation so far has been Spotify in terms of if you jokingly refer to what Spotify's done as using an age-old thing of the crack model. Spotify has given you access to music on your desktop for free, but then if you want to take it with you mobile, you have to pay €10 a month or £10 a month or whatever, depending on what territory you're in. The idea of really loving Spotify on your desktop, but now you want it in your pocket, it's not a big leap to say, you know what, for €9-10 a month, if I can have access to my music wherever I go, this is a good value proposition. So this concept of freemium, of creating a free level, and then say the enhanced level is a pay model, I think is working. But again, we've gone through a complete generation. It's been 10 years now where a whole generation has grown up believing that music is free. My son has grown up for 10 years. I mean, he's 17. All his friends believe that music should be free. And what's challenging is as we've gotten to this era of, well, give the music away for free and you'll monetize your career in other ways, it's still not playing out. Because, I mean, I have an artist right now that I work with. Her name is Sarah Hayes. And so we've made a lot of her music available for free. She goes out on tour. Everybody's writing, it's really great, you're coming out on tour. And then she goes and she plays a club and she plays to, a couple hundred people. So the club pays her a few $100s for being there. She's got a band, she's got airfares, she's got car rentals, she's got hotel. So you're giving your music away and ending up playing for $500 or even $1,000 a night. So let's say she's making $1,000 a night. She's got she's got 5 band members. They each get at least $100 a night, so that's $500. The hotel rooms for the 5 of them, even if they double up, that's 3 rooms at $75 each. That's $225. There's meals. There's the travel to get there. So all of a sudden, you're not making a living at $1,000 a night, and you've given your music away. So where is the monetization?
Yeah.
So this promise of give it away and people will pay when you go to the show isn't really happening to the degree that everybody is trying to proselytize. No, the music is just the music is now the free giveaway. It doesn't work. So we need Spotify to succeed. We need services like Rhapsody to succeed. We need, if Apple announces subscription day, we're sitting here on the 27th of January, and we're waiting in a few hours, literally, in about 8 hours, we will know what, Apple's plans are for the next part of our lives.
Yeah.
If anyone right now could convince consumers that paying for music is a good thing, it's Apple. I mean, I have a lot of public angst with Apple where people say, well, Apple thought up the 99-cent download. They didn't think up the 99-cent download. Companies like Liquid Audio and Rioport and Amplified were all doing this well before iTunes launched, the iTunes Store launched, but Apple was able to popularize it.
Sure.
There were digital music players such as the Rio player and the Creative Zen and all these players before the iPod. But to the mass amount of audience out there, Apple invented the digital music player. Before the iPod, there was no digital music, as far as most people are concerned. You and I know that there were MP3 players 3 years, 4 years before the iPod ever debuted. So, but Apple has this fantastic ability and this admirable ability to mainstream and to make cool the idea of digital music and why it should be paid for. I mean, they've sold literally billions of dollars of songs. But in a connected world, you're not going to pay $10,000 to put 10,000 songs on your iPod.
Yeah.
But you might pay $10 a month to fill your iPod up with music. Basically, $10 a month for all you can eat.
Sure.
And so those kind of... I made a statement in April of 2006 while I was still at EMI. I gave a speech in Hong Kong at a Nokia conference that the future of music was not music as an a la carte product, but it was music as a service. I learned how wired we are in this world because 10 minutes after I made the speech, after I came off stage, I got a call from EMI in London asking, did I just make a statement in Hong Kong? A journalist wrote the story, posted the story. The publicity folks at EMI had me on a Google search, and it came up, Ted Cohen just said, music as a product is dead. So within 10 minutes, I'm in Hong Kong and London is calling, going, what did you say? And I stood by it. I said, I really believe that the future of music is music as a service, not music as a product. It's 4 years later now, and I think if Apple does announce some form of music subscription today, it's going to be a game changer. Because all of a sudden people will go, wow, the subscription idea is really cool. They'll also say, why did no one ever think of it before? Which will make Rhapsody and Spotify and everybody else feel very bad. Yeah. But they will popularize it.
And the labels seem to be afraid at the moment of giving away their content because they're not sure on how to charge the digital startups or companies that want to use the music. Do you think the penny per play, penny per play, is it the way forward? Or
no, penny a play doesn't work, and I did the penny a play deal. I will take full responsibility and the blame for penny a play. When Rhapsody was starting out and when Napster, the legal Napster, was starting their subscription services, a penny a play was an easy model to explain to a financial guy in a label. So when I went to our, finance people and said, I want to license Rhapsody, they're going to pay us a penny every time a song is played. It was easy. It wasn't like they're going to pay us 0.2 of a quarter of a cent over. It was, we get a penny every time a song's played. Yeah. The problem is it doesn't scale. If you listen to 5 hours of music a day, which is not a lot of music, so in a 12-hour day of being around music, if 5 hours you had music playing, 5 days a week, 4 weeks a month, it works out like this. There's roughly 15 songs in an hour at 4 minutes each. So you would, in penny rate, it would be 15 cents an hour, times 5 hours a day would be 75 cents a day, times 5 days a week would be $3.75 a week, times 4 weeks would be exactly $15. So it would be basically 1,500 songs a month that you were listening to at a penny a play. The problem with that is the service is only charging $10. So you're costing Rhapsody $15 that they owe the labels for a service that they're only getting $10 from you. So the penny a play doesn't scale if music fans really use the service, consistently. The service is completely underwater. They're actually trying to figure out, how do I get you to listen less? Yeah. So what I proposed later in my tenure at EMI was that there was a penny rate up to a certain level, and above that it broke into a pure rev share. Because it's to the advantage of the music companies to have as much music listened to as possible. You want to expose, using EMI, you want to expose Katie Tunstall and Lily Allen and Corinne Bailey Rae. You want these artists getting as much attention as possible. And you don't want the services to be trying to figure out, how do I get people to listen less? Yeah. But at a penny a play, if I was running a service, I'd go, how do I stop you from listening more than 2 hours a day? How do I basically, if you don't interact with the service after 4 or 5 songs, it goes into pause? Or, basically making sure that you're not turning Rhapsody on when you leave for work in the morning, so it's entertaining the biggest fear is that Rhapsody was entertaining your cat. Yeah. And that you're leaving the house and leaving Rhapsody on because your cat likes music playing while you're out of the house. So the penny a play model doesn't work. It's got to be a rev share, but there has to be transparency on both sides of what revenue is coming in. One of the reasons that we went to a per play minimum was early on, and I won't name the services, but early on there were some services that were hiding the revenue. We'd say, we'll do a rev share. And they'd say, well, we didn't make any money this month. And we'd say, well, what about this? Oh, well, that doesn't count. No, that does count. Well, that was made over on this part of our site. So what was happening on one of the sites where they would have a page saying, come listen to the new Coldplay. But next to it would be an ad for Nike. And then you'd click on Coldplay and you'd go to another page saying, the new Coldplay now available on blank. click here, and there'd be an ad there for Coca-Cola. When you got to the page where they were actually playing Coldplay, there was no advertising. So the service said, well, where we played Coldplay, where we actually played it, we didn't make any money.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you sold all these ads leading up to it. Yeah, but that's not, you don't get a piece of that.
Oh, nice.
So we started saying, you know what, fine, we don't get a piece of it. Every time you play Coldplay, we get a penny. I don't care where you find the money. So it became, to be perfectly candid, you don't trust us, we don't trust you, so here's what we want. We want a penny every time you play it, and we're going to audit you every 6 months, and we're going to check your server logs. And unfortunately, a lot of the music business, historically, is based on you don't trust me and I don't trust you.
Yeah.
So just give me a bunch of money, and I'm not going to worry about, I don't care if you make money, just take care of me.
Sure.
We need to get back to a place where there is enough technology in place that we can look at play data, we can look at what's happening, we can measure airplay, there's ways to monitor it through fingerprinting, there's ways through watermarking that we can have a fairly transparent relationship, and both sides can make money. I agonize historically over win-win. I used to get criticized for it. Why are you worried if they're successful? I said, because if they're not successful, ultimately, we're not going to see ongoing revenue from them.
Yeah.
It's a challenge for the music companies right now, for the music labels and for the publishers, when people say, give the music away and you'll make money other ways. Currently, for the record companies and for the publishers, that's the only way they make money. They're not making money from touring. They're not making money from other exploitation. They're making money from selling music.
Yeah.
So that's what caused the evolution of the idea of a 360 deal. Of, okay, fine, we'll give Robbie Williams music away, but we're going to make money from Robbie Williams' tour. Yeah. And in the case of a Robbie Williams, you can make money from the tour when he tours, because he does play to 30, 40, 50, 100,000 people when he does a festival. Then there is serious money there. But if you're saying to the record companies, to the music companies, we'll go tour and we'll make money on our touring, you sell our records, give us a bunch of money, pay for the recording of my music, pay to promote me, and let's hope the record sells for you, because if it doesn't, you're not making any money. I may not be saying that correctly, but the idea is there's been this period over the last 10 years during this major disruption that the artist still wants the big advance, the artist still wants the big recording budget, the artist still wants the big advertising campaign, but they're not sharing any of the other income with the label, who feels, and in most cases rightfully so, they're helping in a major way to build that artist's career.
Especially if you talk about so-called established or heritage acts that are not selling as well as they used to.
Right.
They're still getting big advances, and they're not sharing any of the revenues with the label when it comes to merchandise or touring. So.
Right. So there was a lot of criticism when EMI didn't renew their deal with the Rolling Stones. The reality is the Rolling Stones don't sell records that much anymore. They really don't. The last 3 or 4 Rolling Stones albums didn't do well commercially. But they needed the release of a new album, and they needed that, quote, excitement around a new album to mount a tour, to basically say, okay, the Rolling Stones have a new album and they're going out on tour. Yeah. The new album didn't sell, but the tour sold millions of dollars.
Sure.
And so EMI made a decision, this was after I left, but they made the decision of, it's not as important to us right now to say we have the Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
Because we're not making any money at all on the Rolling Stones. We really think they're very nice people, but we don't need that loss anymore.
Yeah.
We don't need to spend millions of dollars on the Rolling Stones and then not share in their tour.
What do you make, for example, of a service like freeallmusic.com, where they give music away with brand partnerships? Do you think that that's something that could work?
It depends on the economics. Most of those models that I've seen where it's a pure brand tie-in, whether it was Q-Tracks or whatever, where it's listen to a couple ads and then get a free song, I don't know how those economics work. I've looked at those I know how those economics work. I don't think they work.
Yeah.
Every one of these systems so far has been a failure.
Sure.
I worked on one 10 years ago. I forget I was just trying to think of the name of it. But basically the labels are looking to get 75 cents a song.
Yeah.
And there's no way that an advertiser is going to pay 75 cents per view.
Yeah.
And so I don't think it works out. I think they're interesting experiments, but I don't think we're there yet. I think the best thing I've seen so far, quite honestly, and I'm a big fan. I don't work with them; they're not a client of ours. Is I'm a big fan of Spotify's. I like what they're doing, and I think Spotify, and if Apple announces some type of a service, as we talked about earlier, I think it's going to be a game changer.
Yeah,
I think Spotify caught everybody. I think Spotify is the first thing in a few years that's not Apple that got everybody excited. That it wasn't everybody being pessimistic, but people are very optimistic about Spotify.
Yeah, you're managing partner at TAG Strategic,
yes.
And you just only announced a partnership with Only Much Louder, which is a company with a great expertise in the Indian market.
Right.
So, what do you make of emerging markets, and what do you think of the Indian market?
We're really excited about the Indian market. I went to Muse Expo in London last June, and I heard a lot of the same people saying a lot of the same things, including myself saying a lot of the same things. And Ajay from Only Much Louder spoke, and I was completely. He was a breath of fresh air in terms of some of his ideas. And I turned to a gentleman that I work with and said, "Set up a meeting for me with him. I need to talk to this guy. He's really good." We sat down, we talked, and that led to discussions. So between June and literally last week, we had continuing discussions of how we could bring our expertise in digital and their expertise in the Indian market and put it together. So as opposed to, hi, we'll consult for you. This is a joint venture between our company and their company. And we decided to announce it here. The timing was right. The interesting thing is, of all the different companies I've worked with, and I've worked with LimeWire and Napster and SanDisk and Coca-Cola and Gibson, and we've had, in the 3 years that TAG has been in existence, I started it in July of 2006, right after I left EMI, nothing has gotten the amount of attention that this, it was a little announcement. We just put out a blurb saying we've made this deal. A friend of mine from a major computer company, who usually it's very hard to get this person on the phone, sent me an email yesterday saying, our people want to talk to you about your Indian initiative.
Cool.
So, and I think everybody recognizes that India, Malaysia, and Indonesia are huge markets that are underexploited at this point. Sure. So we're really excited about it.
And finally, a balance on Midem 2010. What do you think of it? And
it turned out, we go through a lot of planning. I won't say there were a lot of people we went after. I'll tell you one of them, Mark Zuckerberg from Facebook. Every year for the last 3 years, I've tried to get Mark from Facebook. And every year I'm friends with a woman who works very closely with him at Facebook, and I've met his sister, and I've got a couple other, and every year it's like, Mark's interested, he might do it, he can't make it. I tried to get this year, we went after Biz Stone from Twitter. So knowing that I didn't get the guy from Twitter and I didn't get the guy from Facebook, in my head I was like, oh. When we ended up looking at the program, Jeff Hazlett from Kodak was phenomenal. Daniel Ek from Spotify was brilliant. Jonathan Klein from Getty Images was brilliant. Mika Salmi is always wonderful. We ended up with a really, really, really good program. Once I stopped dwelling on who we didn't get, this actually was one of the best programs we've had, and this was the first year where Midem was open to the general population of people attending Midem, so we had a lot more people in the room this year.
Yeah, sure.
And I think the level of discussion was better than it's been in a long time. I also think Amanda Palmer was wonderful.
Yeah, she was.
She was great. And the other gentleman, whose name I forget, the other artist from the Young Punks.
Young Punks, yeah.
He was great. I think overall this was one of the better, Midem Nets. Plus we had all the stuff going on downstairs in the Midem Net Academy where there were a lot of workshops. So I think we've moved, I think the most important message to take from Midem and Midem Net this year is Midem Net moved from theoretical to transactional. We moved from here's where it's going to be to here's where it is and here's what you need to do.
And there's actual companies.
And there's companies that are actually doing things and they do things that drive revenue for people.
Yeah.
So it's not from when the future gets here, here's what it's going. It's here. It's now. We've got to be doing it. And here are companies that can help. And I mean, There's a Streaming Jam, which does virtual concerts with avatars. Band Central that I met that's doing some really great stuff with helping artists manage their career online.
Yeah.
Hello Music, who we are working with, who are doing some great stuff in aggregating artist services. There are all these tools there to really actualize and monetize your career.
Sure.
And so I think it's good. I think this was the year, I said in my opening remarks that I think we hit bottom last year, and this year felt much more positive, hopeful, and transactional as opposed to talking about what it could be. We can now talk about what it is and what it's going to be.
Cool. Well, great.